my name's Katie Robertson, and I'm the founder and director for the Anchor Gathering, and I want to just say Happy New Year. We want to officially welcome you to our Anchor at Home, the first one of the new year. We are so thankful you're joining us. If you're in a watch party or you're tuning in on your own, we are thrilled you're with us tonight. We have got a great evening planned, and before we get started, I'd like to share just a few things to help us get the word out there. First of all, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Anchor Gathering. And if you could like us, follow us, share us on all of our social media platforms, that would be great. And most important, if you would consider becoming a watch party host. And we have a special little video clip with some information that shows a little bit more on what this all entails. So we're going to take you now to find out more about hosting a watch party. Let's take a look. Hi everyone, Katie here, and I'm going to share with you some really important information about what it entails to become a watch party host for our Anchor at Home. First of all, a watch party is really a gathering for women to come together and watch our Anchor at Home program to be encouraged and anchored in faith and friendship. To host a watch party, it entails opening your home, or it could be your church or another venue, and inviting women in. It could be 1 to 2, 5, 10, 20, or more women, that neighbor, friend, co-worker, family member, anyone in the need of hearing about the hope of Jesus Christ, and anyone on the faith journey wherever they are, all are welcome. Your watch party starts with social time, where you serve simple snacks and drinks or desserts, whatever works best for you. And then you sit together and watch our Anchor at Home program, which premieres monthly on our YouTube channel at the beginning of the month, October through June, and it features music from a top contemporary Christian artist or local musician. We have a short testimonial, we call it the Anchor Moment, and a speaker sharing a message on the hope found in Jesus Christ. We provide a watch party kit for you with lots of information, but most important, it gives you the fun questions to get to know one another better, your guests, and questions that go with the message for discussion to go deeper with the message and any other faith questions. We also offer and provide monthly training in hospitality, leadership skills, spiritual growth, and evangelism. You can join us monthly on our Zoom calls and meet women from across the country, or you can watch our training at your own convenience. It's really a simple math problem. The more watch party hosts that we have on board equals more women being invited in to hear the good news of Jesus Christ and the hope and relationship He brings. So we hope you'll join us on board. You can go to our website, theanchorgathering.com, and get involved, become a host. We'd love to connect with you. And together we can make a huge difference bringing Jesus Christ to women everywhere. For music tonight, it is an honor to introduce to you one of the Anchor's favorite groups for King and Country, comprised of the brother duo, Joel and Luke Smallbone. They are top contemporary Christian artists, and they are originally from Australia, now Nashville, Tennessee. They've won many awards, including 4 Grammy Awards, and a fact I like to share is pretty impressive. They have over 1 billion streams. They are passionate about sharing the hope of Jesus Christ. So let's hear now from For King and Country.
So the Anchor is Luke here and Joel with the King and Country. Just saying
to the Anchor. Lovely for you to see us. We can't see you, but nonetheless, keep up the great work from us to you. We're cheering you on, and thanks for all the support as well. We love these ladies.
All the best.
If you feel like no one sees you just for who you are and accepts you, we sing this for you tonight.
I am a little unstable, loose wires always getting tangled now. I am a little bit difficult, I can be a little self-critical now. And I am a little unable to put all my cards cards on the table now, but somehow you're still with me. It's amazing that you care, love me like I am, and even when I can't, you still love me as I am. Oh, I don't know how you do it, and I know I put you through it. Yeah, it's amazing that you care, love me like I am. Ooh, you love me like I am. Oh, you love me like I am. I am a little uneven, in need of a little more healing now. Yes, I am. Oh, and I feel a little unfixable, but you're nothing short of a miracle now. But somehow you're still with me. It's amazing that you care, love me like I am, and even when I can't, you still love me as I am. Oh, I don't know how you do it, and I know I put you through it. Yeah, it's amazing that you can love me like I am. Oh, you love me like I am. Oh, you love me like I am. Oh, you love me like I am.
All right, my friends, we gotta let this sink deep tonight. So right where you are, I want you to repeat this after me. Let it sink deep. You love me like I. That's right. Turn to the person next to you and say, sing this with me.
You love me like I.
Oh, just the ladies, come on, sing it out.
You love me like I.
All right, fellas, come on.
You love me like I.
All together as one, shout it out.
You love me like I.
Oh,
You love me like I. You love me like I. It's amazing that you can love me like I am, and even when I can't, you still love me as I am. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, and I know I've put you through it. Yeah, it's amazing that you can love me like I am.
Thank you, Luke and Joel, for sharing your gift of music with us. That truth of your song lyrics is such a reminder to us all of the amazing love that the Lord has for each one of us, no matter what we do or who we are. It is just incredible. So thank you again. At this time, we will be having our anchor moment, and that's a time that we get to hear from a guest a little bit about their life, their faith journey, and an anchor moment. And an anchor moment is a time that your faith has been grounded, you've seen Jesus to be real in your life. It actually is an encounter, maybe too, that you've had with the Lord. So tonight we are just thrilled. We are in the home of our guest. Her name is Angela Hoefer. We're on location here on Mercer Island, Washington, and we're so excited to get to hear from Angela. So Angela, I just want to say hello, and we're so thankful that you welcomed us into your home. And we're going to get started with our questions. So our first one, we know you know, is tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am the daughter of a single mother. I have one older brother who's a couple years older than me. I've been married to my husband, Carl, for 20 years now. We have 3 kiddos, 2 girls and a boy, Olivia, who's 13, Sierra, who's 11, and Tristan, who's 9. I call myself the COO of Hoeferland because I manage it all. I manage active husband, all the activities, our 3 kids, and I keep 2 cats alive. So I manage it all around the house too.
Very, very good. I like that. I can totally see that around here. Well, how about tell us a little bit about your faith journey?
Yeah, growing up, my mom took us to church, and it was a solid foundation. A lot of it stuck. I don't think really I had big anchor moments though until later in life.
Okay, well then I guess let's just get going on because we can't. I know you like, a lot of times with the faith journey, it does kind of go into one of your anchor moments.
So after high school, I graduated high school, and I went 45 minutes north to Oregon State University. A couple years into my business degree, I met my husband, Carl. We met in business accounting, which was not my strong suit at all. Contrast to him, where he was usually the top student in all of his classes. I remember we met on the day we had gotten a test back in business accounting, and the teacher had jokingly chided him for getting a 98 instead of 100% on the test. And I looked down at my sad little C and was like, oh. So I dragged myself out to the drinking fountain at the break, and I just thought, oh no, this is so bad. I gotta do better in this class. And Carl came up to me and commented on my sorority sweatshirt and said, hey, do you want to study sometime? And so we studied together for some time. And when we finished school in 2003, I had the opportunity to marry the man of my heart. So when we first started dating, I knew Carl was into cycling, but I had no idea the journey that his cycling would take me on. So Carl managed bike teams over the years and passionately mentored other people in the sport, all while, still riding 15,000 miles a year himself, which was really intense. For years and years, I played the role of supportive wife who would go up to the top of the hill, a very steep hill, and hand him off the water bottle in the middle of a bike race. And it was great. I thought cycling was, safe enough. Safe enough, we'll call it. Then around 2015, we had 3 little kids at home by that point. And my view of cycling started to change. I actually started to resent the bike quite a bit. Every day Carl would get up and go to work and come home, spend a couple hours on the bike, go to bed, wash, rinse, repeat. And I thought he was as happy as a clam. Me, on the other hand, no. I lost Angela for a long time there. I got lost as a stay-at-home mom, and I started to hate the bike. I started to hate the time away that it took my husband away from me and the time that I wanted. And in hindsight, I look back and really that was just this long season of played and hide and seek with anxiety and depression for me. Then after hopping on different medications for a couple years, in 2018, I found myself anchored, but sadly not in Jesus. It was to fear at this point. Carl's relatively safe sport took a turn for the worse, and he ran into a series of unfortunate events with many different accidents. 4 accidents, in fact, over the course of 3 years. Mm-hmm. He had 2 people turn on him onto side streets. He had a hit and run, and he even had a random dog take his wheel out while he was out on a leisure ride with a friend. So anxiety started to rule me. I became accustomed to bracing every time Carl would go out on a ride, and I would brace every time he would call for his mid-ride check-in. He'd call, and I would brace for telling the kids that Daddy had another accident. I would brace for my unknown. What would happen to him this time? I had no idea. And every time I would answer the phone, it sounded a little like this: "Are you okay?" That's not right. Mm-hmm. And anxiety just ruled everything about me. And so, sadly enough, I tried everything. I tried to convince Carl he should give up the bike for me. Of course he should. Because it's safer, of course. Mm-hmm. I even resorted to persuading our kids. I spent a lot of time plotting and persuading the kids to talk to Daddy and tell him he should find a different sport that was safer, so nothing would happen to him. But this was like truly all just an epic fail. It brought a bunch more resentment into the family and into our marriage. And it was during this season, though, that Jesus found me. Through the rekindling of a relationship with a girlfriend from college, she lovingly introduced me this idea of rewiring my brain and stepping outside of the rut of anxiety that I had just spent years and years spinning in. In 2020, I had lost all hope of convincing Carl that he should give up the bike. And he was trying to really honestly convince me in return that it was part of who he was. At that point, I began this intense 6-month journey, which really has become more of a lifestyle of retraining and stepping out of some old patterns and habits and coping mechanisms that no longer serve me. This is the part where God began to just speak to me through my time in meditation. And he kept whispering over to me, 2 Timothy 7, which says, "For I did not give you a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, of courage, and the resolution to meet difficulties and dangers that will carry us through opposition. And I gave you a spirit of sound mind and of quietness." And so I just let those words wash over and over again over me. And he started peeling back the layers of my anxiety. He started peeling back those layers to reveal to me who he saw me to be. He said, it's time to let go of the things you could never control, Carl and the bike. It's time to let go of the ball and chain that you've been dragging around your anxiety and depression for years, thinking it was just going to be another appendage for the rest of your life. It's time to let go of tying everything up with this beautiful, controlled, perfect little bow, because I'm enough for you. I was beginning to realize that I was loved, worthy, not helpless, that the more I leaned into Jesus, the more I could let go of a situation and know that it was going to work out. Jesus taught me that the more I leaned into him, the less helpless I was in my situation. So during the next few months, things were looking up. And then in January of 2023, things changed again. Carl went on a group ride with his cycling team. 5 guys hit a patch of ice, of de-icer, that was wet and fell. 4 guys were okay. Carl broke his femur. Oh my gosh. So back to the hospital we went again. But this time was different. I didn't feel like I needed to throw Carl under this proverbial bus anymore, which was such a change of my heart posture for what it had been. Even the cycling community didn't think he would make it back to join the 2023 cycling season. Like, Carl proved him wrong. He often jokes with me that recovery is his superpower, and I think he might just be right. He came back in September of 2023 from Masters Track Nationals in South Carolina with a handful of medals. So what I realized after this last accident just a couple months ago, that God is just peeling away the anxiety and reminding me that Carl's in his hands and not in mine. I am enough for you in every situation. For the kids, for Carl, through any accident, I am enough. I will always work out things for your good. About a month ago, Carl was out on the bike again, and he ran into a very good cycling buddy who had pulled over off the path and was sitting on a bench. And Carl noticed him and thought, hey buddy, said, what's going on? And had Carl not arrived just in time to find out that our friend was having a heart attack and called the ambulance and got him to the hospital, we would probably be mourning the loss of our friend who, because of Carl and that divine appointment and what God is showing me, like, maybe the bike's not bad all the time, right? Look, I do some good things with it too. we would be singing a different story. We would be grieving the loss of our friend. I realize now that it's okay, and that He will always take care of me and work out everything for my good.
Thank you, Angela, for sharing your encouraging message and just reminding us of how really God has the ultimate plan for each one of us. At this time, it's a privilege for me to get to introduce you our speaker for the evening. Her name is Grace Alverado, and Grace is a top real estate broker here in the Northwest, and she has a heart and passion for ministry and community service. She and her husband live here in Gig Harbor, Washington, with their darling baby girl. So let's hear now from Grace Alverado.
Have you ever felt forgotten, waiting on the sidelines as you watch everybody else's dreams come to pass? That was me. The last time I was here at the Anchor Gathering, I was a panel speaker, and I more or less gave a testimony of my mother. I grew up in Kenya, and I just witnessed my mom's testimony of how she grew up and became pregnant as a teen and had to drop out of school with my dad's child and had to get married, and unfortunately they lost that child. And then after that, my dad became alcoholic and my mom had to deal with an abusive marriage. My own personal testimony starts at 21 years old, and that was about 6 months after my dad got saved. Like most young women, I wanted to finish college and graduate and get married and have a family, but that was not my story. And honestly, the way my story unfolded, it's unlike what I had planned for. Number one, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was only 16 years old. And from there, I was in and out of hospitals, very sick. And when I graduated from high school, the school that accepted me, the college that accepted me, was about 300 miles away from home. My parents felt very uncomfortable in having me go so far, especially because of my health. And so they decided to look for a private university. Because of the timing of when they did the application, I missed my window of going to college, and for 4 years, I got rejection after rejection from different colleges. And honestly, I watched my friends graduate from college, have families, start jobs as I waited on the sidelines. Fast forward, I finally got admitted to Daystar University. At my senior year, I did a student exchange program where I came to Taylor University in Upland, Indiana. After graduating from college, I got a job with ExxonMobil, which is a great company. And at the time I was dating, life seemed good. Life seemed perfect. And for once, I felt like life was going the way as it should be. I was in a great job and a good relationship. However, it was not going to be that way for long. After a while, I started getting the impression that I was supposed to come back to the US. Now, I didn't want to do that because I had so much vested in Kenya. But then as time went by, the impressions got stronger and more urgent. So at the time, my parents were here in the US to come to my sister's wedding. And I stayed back at home because my younger sister was not given a visa and I didn't want her feeling alone. And so I decided to really seek God about this matter. And I told my boyfriend, who by now had proposed and was a fiance, and he gave me his blessing. He told me to follow whatever God wanted me to do. So I decided to put God on a test because honestly, this was a big deal and I wanted to make sure that I was hearing correctly. So I told God, well, when my parents come back, because I'm still living under their roof, I have to get their blessings from them. And the reason I say it was a test was because I knew how my dad thought. I knew he's such a structured man, and I knew that he probably would not approve of it. And so when my parents came back that same evening, I told them about what I was feeling and just the impressions I was getting. And to my surprise, my dad just said, he didn't even flinch. He said, yes, we give you our blessing, and you can go back to the U.S. The following week, I was back in a flight to the U.S. As soon as I came here, just everything unfolded. I got so sick, and I was in and out of hospitals. The doctors could not find out what was wrong. I just somehow my central nervous system was so compromised. I was feeling like things were poking me all the time. So 24/7, I couldn't sleep. And then to add insult to injury, I found out that I was going blind. And 2 weeks after I got to the US, I was declared legally blind. So for the next 9 months, the doctors were just fighting to, number one, first save my eyesight. And within that period of time, I had 6 surgeries and just in and out of hospitals. My best friend, Isabella, who had met here when I first came to college, was in between contracts with Microsoft. So it was just God's provision that there was somebody who could take care of me and take me to all my appointments, and that's what she did. And because I got sick right after I got back, I did not have a job and I didn't have medical insurance. So everything was just overwhelming. The bills were coming in, and I saw God's provision during that time through Isabella. Honestly, she paid for my medical bills, and up to this day, I'm super grateful for that. It's just God's ways of showing us that He still cares and He still provides. And so fast forward, I got well, I'm on the mend, and then the next tragedy hit. Remember the fiance I left in Kenya? Well, one day I got a call and I was told that he had been involved in a car wreck and he had died. And so that was a very tough time for me because we hadn't even told people that we were engaged. We had not shared this news because everything had happened so fast. And so it was a time where the grief was so personal, and yet I couldn't share it. And the only person that I could share it was back to God, the God who had clearly told me to come back and had saved my life by me coming back to the US, because I think that's why that urgency of you have to go back to the US, you have to come back to the US. I believe that urgency was to save my life, because I would not be here today because all those medical issues were not found out by my doctors in Kenya. Let's fast forward another 2 years, I get another call, and it was from my best friend Isabella, the one who had taken care of me. And she told me that she had just been diagnosed with colon cancer. And I remember feeling so overwhelmed, so lost. And to be honest with you, that's the one time in my life that I felt my faith very challenged. And now the roles had reversed. I'm the one who was taking care of her. Unfortunately, a year later, she succumbed to colon cancer and died. At that time, the key scripture that honestly really helped me together was Proverbs 3, verse 5. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight." During this difficult time, I had learned to trust the voice of God. That same voice had saved my life. I relied on that voice to take me through these difficult times of losing my fiance and losing my best friend in death. And as I continued my journey, I wish I would say that it was easy and that answers came quickly. They did not. I was to wait another 15 years to get married. When I met my husband, of course, we talked about children, and I knew that was a stretch for me to have children. Number one, because of my medical history. Secondly, of my age. And so, but we still went to the doctors, and they confirmed that I cannot have children biologically. We were honestly very content. My husband had helped found an organization called Go on the Mission that mainly dealt with taking care of children all across the world, and we were already taking care of children. And so I'd come to peace with that. But however, in 2008, I'd gone to church, and I had a word very clearly that I was going to be a mother. And on that day, after I got that word, I went and by faith, I went and got some books, some children's books, and I put them in a box. And I didn't realize that I was going to hold on to this box for another 15 years. One day, my husband was working in the garage, and he found my box of books, and I told him about it. And honestly, he was so touched by the fact that I had a box of baby books, and I told him the story of how God had told me I was going to be a mom. And he thought that that was the most tender expression of faith. And honestly, I'd completely forgotten about the box of books. He brought it to the house, and we started talking about children again. And a few of our friends had adopted, and so we invited them over, and we started talking about adoption, and they told us about the agency that they had used. So we started the paperwork, and it went faster than we had planned. By September 1st, they put our profile online, and basically it was in all adoption sites. September 15, which is just 2 weeks later, we got matched with a girl who said that she wanted to talk to us. What was surprising was that she was expecting her baby in November. So this is September, so we were thinking it's only 2 months away. But we decided to take on that journey of faith, and we started praying and believing God, and we started talking to her on a daily basis through text. We got a text from her, and she said she had decided to go along with us. And we just couldn't believe that in 2 months we could be parents. We just started preparing for a baby, and just like that. I just want to encourage you just to keep holding on to the Word of God. Be anchored in Him, because His promises are yes and amen, and they will come to pass. If He told it, if He promised you, it will come to pass. I would encourage you with that. The second thing I would encourage you is to obey Him even when it does not make sense. I'm glad I obeyed God to come back to the US, because it helped save my life. And sometimes He gives us these instructions that don't make sense. I would encourage you, just obey Him even when it doesn't make sense. A third thing that I would encourage you is to surround yourself with community. I'll stop here and just talk to you a little bit about the community I have here in Gig Harbor. There's a Bible study that I meet with on Thursdays, and this group of women have just been instrumental in my life. They were texting me every step of the day, of the way through this whole adoption journey, praying, sending scriptures. And community is so important. We cannot do life alone. You have to surround yourself with people of faith. And I'm glad that they are a core story. I can tell my daughter that these are the women that help pray you through. The last thing that I'll leave with you is to pray. Just pray. Pray without ceasing. I'll read a scripture, 1 Thessalonians 5:16. Let joy be your continual fest. Make your life a prayer, and in the midst of everything, be always giving thanks, for this is God's perfect plan for you. Remember that box of books that I talked to you about? Well, the other day I just pulled it out, and I got to read one of the books to my daughter. And the book that I happened to pick was about Jonah Goes Overboard. And there's a part that I want to read to you because it really touched me. And if you don't know the story of Jonah, I would encourage you to go read it. Jonah was in trouble, and he was, thrown overboard. And this is what he says. Then he remembered what to do when in trouble. Pray. God truly hears our prayers, and He sees our hearts. He sees the secret desires of our hearts, and He does fulfill them. I would encourage you today that don't give up on any of the dreams that God has put in your heart, because He sees them, and He's the one who watches them to come to pass.
Thank you, Grace, for sharing that inspiring message, and such a reminder to hearing about God's faithfulness and that He knows the desires of our heart and that we can really hold on to those and trust Him with the details of our life. Thank you again. Grace has provided some questions for us to go into a deeper discussion time with your watch party or on your own. You'll find those on your screen. We hope and pray you'll be encouraged and you can go a little deeper with the message. In conclusion, we want to just thank you again for joining us on our first Anchor at Home of the new year. We want to leave you with a blessing. May the Lord fill you with His abundant joy and peace as you embark on this new year. And as I like to say, until next time, stay anchored and we will see you soon.